Good evening, everyone. Let me take you back to 2016, where two passionate international students graduated with flying colors and had ambitions to land their dream jobs. However, the reality was quite different. Welcome to ULTV Study Abroad 101. I'm Shefali Shrivastava, Marketing and Communication Manager at University Living. You won't want to miss today's conversation. We will share so many tips with you guys about securing jobs at KPMG, Deloitte, EY, Blackrock, among others. And these tips will come from someone who has been an international student, who knows what exactly the pain points that a student might have and has the vision and passion to solve them. Welcome Tripti Maheshawari, founder of Student Circus, who has assisted thousands of students and is trusted by over 45 universities across the globe. Hi Tripti, how are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for having us over. And we're very, very excited to collaborate here and, help some students land their dream jobs, unlike us.
Thank you so much, Tripti, for joining us. You won't believe, I am pretty sure as soon as we make this live, a lot of students will go and watch this. And I'm hoping and I'm sure that we'll have so many views and so many questions on this. Because every time, whenever we do a webinar, whenever we do a question, or whenever we have a normal conversation or on our Facebook or Telegram community, everybody has this question: how to get an internship, how to do part-time job, how to get job, because ultimately that's the goal that any international student has. Of course, even if they are pursuing for research or PhD, this is something side gig that they need to keep going constantly. Things over abroad is different from our Asian countries. So you need some part-time job or internship. So, and this creates a lot of difference.
100%. I think it's just not about the money at some point. It's also about your exposure, your networking, and the skill building. I remember my mentors telling me, even if you work as barista, you're still getting so much out of it. Don't think of it like a job in hospitality, but think of it like a job where you can pick up these skills for your next job.
Right. So, yeah. Right. Every job, every experience that you gain is actually there to make you learn something, to help you in getting more insights about that whole job reference. Now, without further ado, let's start in the conversation. But I know what Student Circus is. I'm pretty sure most of our viewers also are aware of our Student Circus. But if you can explain what Student Circus is, what problem does it solve for students?
Sure. So I'll take our viewers back to 2016, as you mentioned, where so I went to Lancaster University for my undergrad and then to Cass Business School for my master's in finance. Absolutely loved my university life. I think it was such a fun, thrilling experience. But it's like a circus, right? That's where the name comes from. Because as an international, you're juggling so many things, getting used to the weather, the rain, the cold sandwiches, language. A lot of times, I couldn't understand my Greek professors. I had to really work on that accent. Academics, new country, new culture, everything. And in the middle of that, you're stuck, on your own, because the concept in the UK is very, very self-driven studies. Even if you're doing an assignment of trying to find a job, you need to do it on your own. Very difficult thing to do when you're in a foreign country. And I think that was one of the things I faced. Didn't know where to start, where to end, who to contact, simple things like immigration rules, salary levels. So yeah, towards the end of my master's degree, when I started looking for a job, I was desperately applying without thinking about the fact that which company will actually sponsor my work visa, because back then there was no post-study work visa when I studied. That's where the idea for Student Circus was born, where we said, look, this is a frustrating process. Let's simplify it. We went to our university's, career service, and we told them, isn't there no job search platform where we can just go and apply for jobs and not think about, the visa aspect? That was the whole idea behind Student Circus, where we started off as a jobs board, where we only listed the jobs for which a student in the UK can get a work visa. So, purely good quality verified listings from employers who can give you a work visa. So you don't have to, struggle with visa rejections at least. Today, so back then, obviously, we started off on an entrepreneur visa, etc. We piloted with 4 universities in 2017, and today we are working with touching almost 60 universities, in a couple of weeks. So all the way from Imperial Business School to LSE, everyone is trusting Student Circus to be their one-stop shop for international student needs. And we help students now in 32 countries globally. We are in Austria, Germany. So yeah, plenty that's happened in the last couple of years.
Right. And of course, you mentioned your first point. There are so many things on a plate for us international student, especially who has gone from like after 12th, you just went there for your grad school, and you were just new, you have just started living your life, and all of a sudden you have to manage your chores also, you have to manage your studies, you have to manage all your assignments, and you have to manage, of course, your part-time and everything. You have that peer pressure on yourself, and just to add on more to it, you are clueless about the whole situation. So
True.
yeah, I think then definitely student, and the name now it just clicks up. It definitely
it was
helps.
very random.
Yeah, but it clicks. So yeah, great. Now the inception stories here, the the agenda, how Student Circus help, that's there. What do you think is the biggest challenge for any international student to land a job? I understand in back 2016 there were no post-work visa, but today things have changed. The rules are more flexible as for the students. Still, there are more than 70% of resumes that get cancelled, that get rejected. What is this challenge that students are facing and they are unable to identify?
I think in our experience, we are at the center point of working with university students and employers, right? So we keep getting these mixed messages from everywhere on what is happening in the market. From a student perspective, I think where things go slightly south is when students start late, right? UK is a very different country when it comes to applying for jobs. Employers will hire people up to 6 or even a year before they're supposed to begin, right? So you're supposed to land in the country and start preparing your CVs and your cover letters to start your application. Very often, because again, it's very nature of being an international student that you get carried away in managing other things, that the career prospects take a backseat. And that's one of the reasons, starting late towards your visa expiry is one of the biggest kind of mistakes that students make, which is unknowingly, right? So in 2022, we've been all about, starting early. So we've partnered with the likes of, many big agents, universities, international offices, just to go out there and tell students, hey, how about you start applying in October? Go to your university career service. They're there to help you prepare your CV and make you, do those applications. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And the second could be a lot of students think that they're prepared with their Indian CVs to apply for jobs with UK employers, but they're not. A UK CV is very different to the one in India. So they need to go there and prepare that again. We see a lot of, like you said, 70% of the resumes get cancelled because a UK employer doesn't relate to that CV. They don't want a 5-pager unlike somebody in India. And when they look at that, half of them will reject it, saying, well, it's not somebody who is in the UK potentially. Right. So yeah,
they get rejected in the initial stage itself, in the screening itself, so they don't even make up to the table. So
exactly,
that's the case, right? Now you mentioned that you created awareness among students that you need to start early, and that's what we always say to every view in our every show, that you should always start early, you should do your research. And you mentioned this point very well, that UK's CV has a different set of standard to go with. And I think it's not just with UK, but every country in the world has a different set of parameters and different pointers to take prerequisites for a CV. So do you also help students while organizing such webinars or such introductory classes, or help them in such way? Do you have counselors to help them out with this?
So we are not into the preparatory bit, very honestly, because we partner with the university. Once students are at university, the university helps them with the training and the preparation, and then they can come onto Student Circus and make those job applications and take that extra help. And that's where our partnership with universities really works well, because they are on campus to do it, right? But we do run a lot of sessions, with the university on training and preparation. So there's no one-to-one help available at Student Circus, although we get queries all the time. So, we'll help out. But officially, they should be going to their university for that first point of contact.
For that first step, it has to be the university. Agreed. Now, while a student is in university, and of course, recruiters start taking the application 6 months ago or something. But a very important aspect to this whole career journey starts with internship.
Yes.
So internships play a very important role. So what do you think is, what are the advantages of having a good internship in starting, and how does it help a student with their future placement?
I think massively. Firstly, you have cracked, at least at some point, either your CV, cover letter, or your interview. So you know that, okay, I'm doing something right to get the internship. So that first level of confidence that you get is such a mind blowing thing, because, and it helped me personally. I interned with a startup in London. They're called Drop It Shopping, and they are about enhancing, the online offline experience of retail. It was hard work to get it, like it is a full-time job to get a job, as you might have heard before. But again, working as an intern, you get that opportunity to make mistakes, and I think that is so needed when you're starting off, because honestly you don't know what you are doing in many cases. Even if you've entered marketing or finance or business development, sales, you need that training. You need to know how to answer emails, you need to know how to prepare an Excel sheet, you need to know what is the hierarchy of managerial level that you need to be responsible for. All of those things make it such a good kind of a package that when you're starting a full-time job, the employer already knows that this person has done an internship. They know the basics, at least, of before joining me, so I don't have to waste time in training them over the baseline thing. So yeah, I think it really works well. It is very much possible to get an internship in the UK. And very often we tell students, many times, to companies don't know that they want to hire interns. Just do speculative applications. If you are into fintech, find out 200 companies who are into fintech. Just send them your resume to say, hey, I'm an international student, I want some experience, can you give me some work for say 2 days a week? You never know what hits.
Right.
In fact, companies also hire so many interns and they list it. We have plenty of internships on Student Circus.
Right, right. And you should not do the mistake which actually Tripti was doing. She used to just click button and apply, 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 apply. You should definitely check out that this particular internship helps you with your future placement and aspects. You should not just go for blindly for it. Of course, every opportunity is a learning curve for you guys, but if something which is related to your own expertise, that will help in a better manner, correct?
One. True, very true.
Great, great. Okay. Now there are multiple kind of internships available, right? That a student can apply based on their availability. If you can suggest that what kind of internship a student should apply, and different universities, for example, if there's any researcher available, so what kind of internship might be work for them? What would be the best internship for them? If you can help out students to identify the right internship for themselves.
Right. I think firstly, you should take an internship with a very kind of a trial and error aspect, that, okay, I have some potential interest in, let's say, human resources. Let me work as an intern and see how that works. Right. So I would even recommend doing multiple internships just to identify your interest for your next future step. Right. When it comes to finding the best internship for you, or what's the right fit, again, it's very much dependent on your course and your level of degree, etc. A great thing would be to apply for summer internships for undergrad students. That works very well in the initial years, and for master students, usually after their masters, they can apply for an internship. Again, there are so many ways to apply and get one. You can work on campus if you're a researcher with your own professor and get a paid internship based on that. You can work a data analysis company to do the same. You can work in retail during the holiday period as well. So again, it comes down to your interest. You make a list of the dream companies that you have, and start understanding what is their application process. I think one of the other things during internships, which I did mention, that you just send your CVs everywhere. But if a company has an application process, make sure you can follow that, because again, in the UK, process is everything. You have to follow what they're saying.
Right. Right. Now, this brings me to my another question. Internships are important and of course it varies from field to field. But for
Yeah.
example, if someone is into marketing, do you think that they should do internship into HR, into supply, into sales, into BD, into multiple domains? Do you think that broadening your internship experience across the fields help you to focus more, taking a better decision?
Absolutely. And that's a great question, actually, because one of the things which is very unique about the UK job market is there's a word that everybody will use in the UK called transferable skills. Okay. So, for example, when I was at uni, we had guest lecturers that came in, and they were finance backed people. When you look at their LinkedIn, you will see that they studied like history or a language in their undergrad. So they have nothing in their education which relates to investment banking, for example. But that is very much possible in the UK. You can easily switch from one career to the other, even if you're studying, say, HR, you want to get in marketing. It's very much possible if you have built the right skill set for it, right? So it absolutely, there is no issue in you trialing out different things. Your academics versus your work experience are two different things, unless it's super technical. I mean, if you're trying to be a doctor, well, hey, you can't get into sales straight away. But the other way around, So 100% I would agree that you can trial out different, because that is the very idea of internship, right? That you are experimenting for it. So yeah.
Right. That gives you that canvas for error, that gap for error. So yeah. Now there is this famous question, I'll say, or infamous question. There's always an imbalance between part-time and internship. A
Yeah.
student is always in this dilemma. Should I do a part-time job? This will help me in quick money and everything. I can bear my expenses and I don't need to be dependent on anyone. Or should I do an internship, which could be an unpaid internship or a paid internship? And this will help me in longer run.
Yeah.
So this is a dilemma that most of the students face. How would you help them with this situation?
My first instance to be would be to them like priorities. Finances are a very important aspect of considering education abroad. And a student who genuinely has to work, to make that up, should definitely focus on that. But again, as I said, it really doesn't matter, because even if you're working part time, you're still building skills which will help you in your next job, right? Even if you're working at a restaurant, you're still talking to people and you're building your people skills, you're building your networking skills. That's how employers in the UK will look at it. Because typically outside, if you see, people will start working when they're at 16 or 17. They move out of their houses and they start working. And those jobs are part time. But in the end, they'll become like CEOs of the biggest companies. So there's no demotivation to working part time whatsoever. But definitely, companies that provide internships are a very different league of companies as well, right? So immediately, if you're coming to the UK and you want like something quick to meet your expenses until you figure out things, definitely go for a part-time job, but don't miss your academics for it. I would say, don't take up shifts that mix it up. But along the way, do make sure that you're able to do like a proper internship with an organization, of your interest level as well. So both are very much possible. I think timing is key, really.
Timing is the key in every case, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. Okay, now we discussed earlier in our conversation that most of CVs doesn't even make to the table. Now, what tips would you recommend? Of course, a UK format CV is very important, but what tips would you recommend for anyone who's trying to create a CV or who's looking forward to apply for the jobs in UK and still in the process and right now watching this, so that any great tip for these people?
I think I always have my three biggest kind of learnings and tips which go hand in hand for us. My first one would definitely always be start early. You know, time is the biggest kind of asset that you have. Don't waste it. If you have a slight orientation also that I want to go to the UK and work, day one is your chance. If you don't start and you get in the rhythm of other things, you will probably lose track. So that preparation is key. There is so much help available on campus at a university. You will not believe it. We started Student Circus from scratch in the UK. We were two international students who had no connections. There was no uncle or auntie, to help us out setting up a business. University was our best friend, right? They have so much help available for people who want to do something extraordinary. So make sure you use those resources. You paid for it firstly, right? You paid the fee to use the resources. So go use them. That would be my, second thing. And I think the third would be, it's slightly challenging, but you need to network as much as you can, even if it means going to events on campus, being part of societies, doing internships, um, anything and everything that you can to know people would be helpful. I had this thing that I need to have a friend in every country that I want to ever visit in my life, right? So you start meeting someone, and that opens up your mind, because you're, while you are in India or in Asia, you're also looking at things from a different perspective. That, it really opens up and broadens your mind when you do that outside. That would be my three things, and the rest will happen on its own.
Okay, so those are the 3 pointers, and yeah, of course, it's all about experience. The point that Tripti mentioned, that she wants to have a friend in every country, every continent, maybe, that actually gives you, that helps you networking with so many new people. And when you network with so many new people, you'll get to learn more things from each and every person.
Absolutely. For us, like when we wanted to launch in Germany, I had a couple of friends in Germany who made it so easy to understand the landscape, tax rules, everything in that country. That would you would only probably have to, end up paying a couple of £1,000 to a consultant to do that.
Right. So your friend can be that consultant. Okay. So now there's another question that I want to ask. We have already spoken about transferable skills, which is very much popular in UK. What other such, insights are there? What other differences exist for any student who wants to apply for a job in UK compared to like in India, if we differ? How the market in the both countries differ?
So I have not applied for a job in India yet. So I wouldn't know what exactly happens, but I'm sure it's the same thing. Here, though, we have slight less like flexibility on converging from what I seen before. If you study marketing, you end up going into a marketing field. Um, in the UK, an employer is very much looking at skills rather than academics. So if you are studying a master's, when you begin, you start applying for jobs. At that time, the company doesn't even know what your academics will be, right? So they'll still hire you based on the soft skills that you have. So anything and everything that you have done up until that point of that application counts. So even if you did, a small project in India, make sure you put that on your CV, because the employer wants to see that. Every employer also wants to hire somebody who has that diverse kind of mindset and very global. So they're very much open to hiring anybody who is in the UK, with that experience level. So that would be one. I think that's quite distinctive about the UK. Doesn't matter where you come from or which subject you have studied. The other thing is, I think the way that the application process is structured in the UK is very different to India. So there are a couple of steps that are involved usually. The first one I would say is like an online application with CV, cover letter. Then you might have to give some logical reasoning tests through, which are computer based. Also, you might have to do like a multiple round of interviews, assessment centers. That is something that many international students like me find difficult to understand. That oh my god, why do you have to do like 4 steps to apply for a job? Can't you just take my CV and interview me?
Right. It's like you're applying for FBI directly, or maybe for some
Exactly.
other, top secret agency.
Exactly.
Correct, correct. Now, many students have this assumption, I'll say, or want to have this assumption that if they do internships, which is
Yeah.
relevant and helps them with their future aspect, would help them to cover the poor grades that they have. Is this true?
um I don't think that poor grades is a problem again here, because I had plenty of my friends in the first semester of my finance degree who had, I think 90% of my class had to do a resit on their accounts paper. So, and they still got like jobs at Morgan Stanley. So I don't think grades are like the biggest issue. As long as you have a decent 2-1 or a first class, that's like your baseline for every employer. But it shouldn't dishearten you, because again, it's a very different grading system anyway. You're not given like a proper percentage, you're given like a honors degree, etc. So it is quite flexible that way. You get more time to do other things as well.
Right, right. Now we're almost near the end of the session, and I didn't realize because the topics are really interesting. And we're getting so many insights about the UK job market. Now, the most important question that I'm pretty sure everyone right now must be thinking in their own mind or asking that why, Shefali, why are you not asking how to go about it, how to apply, how to avail these services? So how can a student get internship through Student Circus? And especially if they're watching this, what exclusivity these university living viewers get when they're applying on Student Circus?
So we work on a university partnership model, but anybody can sign up on Student Circus, go into our platform, create an account with their university email ID. As soon as you do that, you can apply for internships, jobs, etc. Every university in the UK also has their own kind of application portal. So you can apply for part-time on-campus roles also there. But again, I would say before starting, preparation is important. I always say this, we do a lot of hard work in bringing these amazing jobs on our platform, right? If you have a list of 80 employers who can give you a job in marketing, but you've not prepared your CV and cover letter or yourself for it, 80 jobs are a waste, right? Because again, you've lost your 80 chances at a really, really good position to get a job with a visa. So you have to be really like proactive in that approach of going to the careers, getting your CV, preparing, etc. Fun fact, actually, we recently found out that all those students who get jobs in the UK have been to their career service more than twice in a year. So it's a very correlated kind of a fact.
Right, right. And yeah, and anybody who is applying through university living, how can they apply if, for example, without their university ID?
So we are not able to give like access before you have gotten into university because of that exclusivity that there is. But as soon as somebody gets their CAS or gets a university email ID, we will be happy to assist them in signing up. They can write to us, and we can always do like demos for them as well.
Right. And Tripti is not sharing, but I'm sharing this with you guys. You guys get 1 month free use this platform if you sign up through the link which is going to be below in the description box. So don't miss that out. And of course, you need to have your own university email address. So yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Tripti, for joining us and sharing so much insightful conversation, in facts with us. Now, before we wrap up the show, I know you have given the 3 wise words from your side, but last, what would the 2 cents of wisdom that you would like to share again with the students?
I think you're going to a land of opportunities, and you never know what's going to happen. You need to, like, for me personally, again, I never knew I will end up starting a venture so soon. I really wanted to work, get a job, and get some experience of really how to even run a company before doing this. So keep your eyes and ears open. There is so much opportunity, that you will often don't get in your relaxed phase of being a student. Make sure you can be on your feet and be out there all the time. Think, if nothing, if you learn how to be a networking and social and outspoken person, it'll do you wonders to your personality anyway.
Correct, correct. So I have taken 3 pointers from Tripti and our conversation. That is TPN, time, preparation, and networking. So on this note, we'll be closing our session. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found it useful. Looking forward to seeing you guys next Friday at 5 p.m. on our ULTV Study Abroad 101. Stay tuned to our social media handles for more information. Thank you so much, Tripti, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.